Welcome to the Safely Controlled Podcast, the show where we think we know what we're talking about, but we're still deeply confused.
That's right. We dive into the world of SCPs, those mysterious, spooky, and sometimes downright ridiculous anomalies that the SCP Foundation works so hard to keep under control.
How do they control them? Why do they control them? Honestly, we're still figuring that out. But hey, we got dice, and that's all we need to choose which SCP we're probably going to mispronounce today.
From homicidal rubber ducks to existentially horrifying vending machines, we're here to explain them to you. Mostly.
So buckle up and suspend your disbelief, and prepare to be entertained by two people pretending they know what's going on. Just waiting for other people to get online. Me trying to play shit by myself lately, I've been, like, not motivated. I've learned that I hate playing video games by myself. Well, at least, like,
That's the only way.
competitive video games by myself.
Oh, that makes
Like,
sense.
I can't, like, log on to Apex and, like, solo queue because it's a nightmare. I was playing a shitload of Call of Duty through the Christmas holiday, like, from Christmas past, like, maybe a week or so past the New Year. I was playing way too much COD, and then I stopped. I can go back. Don't get me wrong. I'll go back. I was playing a lot with Nick, and he's been having massive internet issues.
Okay.
To which I was like, who's your service provider? And he said T-Mobile. And I was like, that's probably why you have massive internet issues. But
Wait a minute. He has one of those three T-Mobile modems like in the house at Cellular?
I have no idea what he uses.
Because those are not fast.
I doubt it.
No,
and especially because if it's not like hardwired in,
Yeah.
then it's probably the slowest it can be too.
I don't know. I mean, well, they use cellular, so it wouldn't be hardwired in. You mean hardwired in from the modem to the devices?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Like my fucking Xbox, ever since I put an Ethernet cable into my Xbox, I will never run it without it again.
Or makes that much of a difference?
Absolutely. Because like I bet you, like if I unplugged my Ethernet cable and try to download something on my Xbox, I bet you my download speed's like 100 to 300, something like that.
Yeah.
But when it's plugged in, it's like 700, 800, 900.
Wow.
I got fast internet for a reason.
You probably have a gig.
Yeah, like I pay for it for a reason because I want the high speed. I really wish it wasn't expensive as it is. It's over $100 a month just for internet.
Yeah.
But I kind of want it. It's not necessarily, do I need that speed? Probably not. But do I want it? Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and just pay for it because I've been paying for it.
You just don't want that spinning circle when you're doing something.
No, not at all. Plus, I don't want lag while I'm fucking playing a game. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I can't tell you. Like, I played, like, Nick, I think, plays, like, on a wireless connection. I play with other people that play on wireless connection. I'm pretty sure my buddy CJ plays wireless.
Wait, so he's wireless on top of cellular?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like a nightmare.
Well, no wonder he always
But
lies.
he said to me either yesterday or the day before, he was like, oh, I went out and bought a fucking router and an Ethernet cable. And I was like, yeah, it's about time. And it's something that I've wanted to do for the longest time is go and buy my own equipment, like my own gateway, my own router, my own whatever.
Yeah, that's what I have in my house.
Because I have like an Xfinity thing here, but that's what, an extra $10, $12 a month because I'm technically renting their property.
Oh, that's their modem.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I bought my own modem, and I have Fios at my house, and it's fiber optic to a box outside, and then from the box outside going in, there's an Ethernet cable that just plugs directly into my router.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing, with Xfinity, I know that other people like can use their Xfinity passwords when they're on your Wi-Fi, and then they're using they said they're not using your speed, but how can they not be using some of your speed?
I guess I never understood that by going to somebody else's network that's a
Xfinity customer.
Yeah, and then you logging onto your own shit.
Yeah, because there's when you get Xfinity through internet through Xfinity, I guess their way of thinking or marketing, I don't know how it is everyone, wherever you're at and there's an Xfinity household, then you can get your service through Xfinity through someone else.
That makes no sense.
I understand, from a marketing standpoint how it could be.
Yeah, like me not being wired in would like drive me insane because I remember when I even like upgrading from I had an old fucking like day one Xbox One, like fat. It's actually somewhere in this room.
Fat.
A big fat console with the power supply that's on the outside of the console, which it's
Yeah, I had an Xbox One.
yeah, and then like I also had to replace that power supply like twice.
Oh.
Plus, they sold me one. GameStop can go fuck themselves because they sold me some bullshit that was not a Microsoft piece of equipment.
Like a third party.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. And they sold it to me. And I don't know if they knew or like there's no way that they didn't know because these motherfuckers, it on like the receipt on the box that I picked, like bought the thing, right? Says Microsoft Xbox power supply.
That's
made
bullshit.
by Microsoft.
That's bullshit.
And then when I look at it on the packaging of like the actual thing, not made by Microsoft at all.
So like someone maybe returned an actual one with that and they resold it?
I'm guessing either they were so oblivious to the fact that this wasn't a Microsoft piece of equipment and didn't care to fucking look at it, and then like you said, somebody else just gave it to them and they bought it for no reason.
Or they returned it and they like, oh, this is fine, we'll just sell it again or whatever.
Yeah, and it was $60.
Oh.
I paid for it and then it blew up in a week.
Ugh.
And it was terrible.
Well, I probably
I had that Xbox for a very long time, and then it burned out. Well, it didn't. It burned out to the first one, the first power supply that it came with, the junky one that and then the one that it currently has, which I think it's in that cabinet behind you. But after a certain point, I was like, I need a new fucking Xbox. Nick upgraded, gave me his like newer Xbox One, the one with the power supply built into the fucking console, like a normal person.
And then you gave me an Xbox.
Yeah, well, that's what you have his.
Oh, I have his.
Yeah,
and that's an Xbox One X, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That is something to do with a couple of different things inside. Like the hardware is a little bit different.
Yeah,
I know it has a bigger storage.
Well, there's games that are coming out now that I can't play on that one.
Right.
So.
And then if you get yourself like $200-$300, you could upgrade to the newer console. But that's when I got that console from him. Is when I started playing on the hardwired. That's when I bought that 100-foot Ethernet cable.
Oh yeah.
And then wired it from the living room downstairs up the fucking stairs and then around. And then I had like 75 feet of fucking cable left over.
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to estimate.
I know. And I was like, you were the one that said it too. You were like, you don't want to not have enough.
Right.
Like, all right. Yeah, you got a point. Because I was like, should I get a 50 or should I get 100? You're like, just get the fucking 100. What you got? You got news? You got stuff?
I mean, I don't want this to be a weekly bitch fest about everything that's going on in this world.
Go ahead.
So you do want it to be a weekly bitch fest?
I'm
more scared than bitching anymore. Now I'm at the point now I don't know what that next thing's gonna happen. So I'm just like, I'm trying not to watch the news anymore.
I don't. I
you
normally
make it a point
don't.
to watch.
The only thing that I honestly found crazy that happened twice in like a week was plane crashes.
Oh yeah.
And then I heard something about what are they? Air traffic controllers.
They were going on strike.
And that's
Maybe
like
strike?
people a speculation of why that happened. The one in DC, that's why that happened, but the one in Philadelphia was a fucking like a malfunction.
I'm sure it wasn't functioning, a functional plane crash.
Yeah, plus people were saying like once it went nose down and it was just going straight down, that's why that was fucking happening. But like,
oh, did you see the fireball?
Yeah,
it was huge.
One of those happened. Like the DC one happened, and then 3 days later, something about the plane crash, and somebody was like, "Did you hear about the plane crash?" And I was like, "Yeah, the one in DC, a couple of days ago." And they're like, "No, another one." And then I got nervous, but I don't know. I keep hearing things about planes, and I'm like, I've never been on a plane, I've never flown in my life, and there's literally like. They're never gonna give me a fucking better reason to never get on a fucking plane in my life.
Still statistically the worst. Not the worst. What am I saying? Statistically, it is you have the best chance of survival, I think, if you fly
versus a car.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
We're not trying to speed through the coffee talk, but we do have to get through one SCP to do another SCP, so we
It's
still
fine,
need some more
it's
coffee
fine.
talk.
We're gonna
I
drink
have more coffee talk, but we're going to save that for the next one.
We have more coffee.
Word.
What do we got?
Boom. 1663.
Sure.
SCP-1663. Containment Site 63.
1663.
It's
All right.
it's the site.
Well, let's go check it out.
Can't wait. Special containment procedures. Data pertaining to research performed at Containment Site 1663 may only be disseminated to personnel assigned to Containment Site 1663 or with prior permission from at least 2 senior researchers. Duties assigned at Containment Site 1663 are not to exceed 2 weeks in length, and all personnel must be administered Class B anesthetics prior to being transferred off-site. The description is the special duty assignment for personnel assigned to Containment Site located near Redacted. The research performed at Containment Site is considered a Euclid class info hazard. Thus necessitate. Fucking Christ! Say the goddamn word!
It's a hard word.
Thus necessitating
Nice.
the extraordinary containment requirements outlined in this document. Special duty assignment for personnel assigned to Containment Site. So, it's all...
The SCP is an assignment for personnel contained to the containment site. The site is 0.
Right.
The actual SCP is 1663.
So it's whatever's brought here is the anomaly. Keep going.
Yeah.
The data isolation of 1663 was approved on Redacted by then retiring 05, whose immediate retirement and subsequent mandatory anesthetic administration was considered not in violation of standard regulations prohibiting the exposure of 05 council members to the SCP objects. Since then, a number of separating retiring council members have upheld the established containment procedures for 1663. So I show up. I am a fucking researcher. Yeah, exactly. I am pulling up to Containment Site 1663 to work for 2 weeks in length, and then I'm going to be working on something. I'm fucking. This is making 0 sense to me. Personnel assigned to 1663 may continue onto the additional
I
document.
think that would be relevant.
Here you go. So
All right, I'll read this
item.
one. SCP Ksi-Lambda-0. SCP Ksi-Lambda-0 is contained in a secure locker at Containment Site 1663-0. Dissemination of the existence of SCP Ksi-Lambda or any information related to it is forbidden as per SCP-1663 protocols, and personnel assigned to SCP-1663 or SCP Ksi-Lambda-0 must be administered Class B amnestics prior to being transferred off-site following the maximum assigned length of 2 weeks. So this is a little repeat of what we were just reading. So the description of it. SCP Ksi-Lambda-0 is a Lady Liberty $5 coin minted in 1880 consisting primarily of gold with trace impurities of Its anomalous effect is triggered whenever any human subject observes, touches, or is otherwise informed of SCP Ksi-Lambda-0's existence. The nature of this object does not need to be explained. Simply identifying it by name is sufficient. Within approximately 3 weeks of exposure to SCP Ksi-Lambda-0, affected subjects begin to develop a pathological revulsion to the ownership, restraint, or containment of any material wealth. Affected subjects will begin by donating or gifting all their possessions, while attempting to convince others to relinquish their possessions. How cool is that?
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
Wow, like your eyes got big, my eyes got big. That's pretty cool. After approximately 6 weeks, subjects will show increasing hostility towards others with material possessions, eventually culminating with a refusal to take possession of any material whatsoever, even food or water, after which subjects typically dehydrate and starve unless sedated and given sustenance intravenously. The only known preventative measure is to administer an amnestic of at least Class B strength prior to manifestation of initial symptoms.
You touch the coin. You look at it, touch it,
Yeah,
or refer to it.
yeah. And then 6 weeks later, bam.
You're giving all your shit away, and then you want other people's shit.
And you don't want anything.
you don't want anybody else to have anything either, it seems like. Because if you're donating and giving all your shit away, okay, so never mind. You don't want anything. They want whoever's touching this is trying to convince everybody to get rid of all their possessions.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
This coin needs to be passed around the world. SCP Ksi-Lambda-0 was redesignated following O5's attempt to order the release of all SCP objects contained worldwide. Fortunately, O5 Blank was the only O5 council member with knowledge of SCP Ksi-Lambda-0 at the time, and was successfully terminated after his order was rescinded by other O5 council members. At the time, SCP Ksi-Lambda-0 was designated SCP Redacted. Its current designation was specifically created to remove it from standard Foundation object databases and to prevent its positive identification by any other personnel other than those at Containment Site 1663-0. SCP Ksi-Lambda-0's current containment procedures are to be reviewed by retiring O5 council members within 2 weeks of their retirement and mandatory amnesic administration. To date, blank retiring O5 council members briefed on SCP Ksi-Lambda-0 have unanimously chosen to uphold the existing containment procedures.
So basically what it is what it was called, obviously, because they had to change the name to something. So I feel like Ksi-Lambda-0, whatever the fuck, is something to throw people off. And then I guess if you look into it, then it becomes a bit of an issue. But it seems as if once they figure it out that this is what's going to happen with it, you don't want to keep this around.
No.
I don't know. This one's a little fucking weird to me. It's not terrible.
No, I mean, it's, yeah. Like, I was thinking before we, came together to do this, that you're going to have a whole bunch of them like this that we're going to be coming across.
Mm-hmm.
This is a perfect example of what I was thinking about. That isn't going to be like super interesting, but lays down the backbone for other SCPs.
Right.
And I have a feeling that this one is going to be referred to in other ones.
This honestly reminds me of another one too, because I think I've mentioned this before about a boomerang that people would find, and if you touched it,
back to that.
Yeah, if you touched it, whenever you touch it, whenever anybody came into physical contact with the boomerang and you threw it away from you, it wouldn't come back, and you would have to go and find it. Like there's something telling you that you need to go and find this boomerang, and it would happen to a bunch of people, and if at a certain point that's when they put it under containment. But then they had all these people outside of their facility trying to get back into the facility because they wanted their fucking boomerang back.
Mm-hmm.
But then there was people that would touch it with like a glove on, and you would throw it and it would come back. You would throw it, it would come back. But as soon as you touched it,
like physically touched.
So that's why, but they were saying like you didn't even have to physically touch it.
No.
You would just observe it,
mm-hmm.
or say, oh look, there's the coin that makes you give away all your fucking money, and then you give away all that. You're done 3 weeks later or whatever, 6 weeks later.
You know why this one's so weird? Because it's so odd for anything to make a person want to not get money,
and especially give away everything
that you own. I mean, that's pinnacle to survival.
Especially giving away like if you're giving away like shit like you don't need, like he's
like an opposite of a hoarder.
You're not taking possession of any material whatsoever, even food or water.
Mm-hmm. I like the setup of this one. So this one kind of rates higher because I'm not treating it as just an SCP on its own. I feel like this is part of the network web that interweaves other stories into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked it.
What kind of rating would you?
Oh, out of 5 or 10?
Out of 5.
Out of 5, 3. I'd give it a 3. Yeah, a necessary 3.
Okay. Yeah, that was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Sure it was. I honestly can't tell if it's a good one or a bad one. To me, it's short.
Mm-hmm.
Is it simple?
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's not as simple as it should be. But that we're gonna find a bunch of fucking ridiculous wording, and that's why SCPs. In all honesty, I feel like they get somewhat of a bad rep because of shit like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not calling it shit. It's just
it's necessary. Like I said,
mm-hmm.
it's part of the background of the whole society and story.
There's a fucking word for that.
Foundation?
No. the whole point to this site, the whole point to the creation of SCPs and what they like are meant to be.
Are you mansplaining SCPs to everybody?
I guess so. I didn't mean to. I was trying to get out the fact that like there's a certain niche on how to write an SCP.
There you go.
They're not supposed to be. I guess they're not supposed to be an easy read.
Now you're in the right direction.
But it's just the way that they are written.
Right.
I still struggle with the way that they are written.
They're very legally. They sound extremely like professional,
Which they're supposed to.
which
sound
they are,
that
and
way.
you know that messes us up when we're trying to read them.
I can't tell you how many times that like we've read an SCP that I have struggled in the moment to like fully understand. But then in the editing process while listening back to our talk and then rereading it, I'm like, oh, okay.
You got your light bulb moment.
Yeah, there's just like, choose for whatever reason as I slow it down and then reread it. Like we could literally reread this whole thing again, and then I might actually get some more out of it.
Your brain probably needs time to like absorb everything like subconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time you get back to it, that's probably how we work
Mm-hmm.
more than we want to admit. You know what I mean? Like in life, like we
No,
get
but
by with, was that a bird that just went swinging past my head? And the next time you sleep on it or whatever, and then you see a bird coming, you know when to grab. You know what I mean? It's just weird the way the brain works.
There's the ones with the dialogue and the stories behind them with, characters in the stories or whatever. But then there's been a couple of that I've read. I remember reading about a fucking a vending machine with a bunch of random shit inside of it that the SCP that I'm thinking of is that you put certain amount of money into this vending machine.
Okay.
It's completely blacked out. You have no idea what's inside of it.
Okay.
But like you could put
That's so risky.
you could put $1 bill inside of it
Well,
and
it's
press
like
some
a
buttons
lottery.
and then you get a can of Coke.
Well, what if it's a can of...
So then you put a $2 in, you
Yeah.
press some buttons, you get a can of Coke, but it's a different color. But
This
it's
is
the
an
same
SCP
Coke.
you did?
Uh-huh. No, I read about this one.
Oh, that sounds like one I'd like to do.
Absolutely. If I could
Can
find
you
it.
find it?
You know
Is there
what?
a way to
Watch
search
this.
for it?
You know what? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to this episode of Safely Controlled
What are you
Podcast. I'm ending this episode so I
Okay.
can go ahead and find the next one.
Ah.
And it's a spoiler alert, because guess what? We're probably going to read one that I actually know something about.
But
for
what if you
once.
don't know? What if we don't find it?
Oh, I'll fucking find it.
All right.
The internet.
Oh, the power of AI.
Watch me.
Okay.
Thank you for coming over today, Rob. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see you next time when we do another recording.
In 3 seconds.
In about
from the bathroom.
3
Yeah.
seconds.
Right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for supporting me and Rob here
Absolutely.
on the Safely Controlled Podcast here on the Going with Rogue channel.
Yeah.
Please like and subscribe if you haven't already.
We appreciate you guys.
And every episode coming out here on every Tuesday at 8 a.m. here on the Going with Rogue channel. But until then, we'll see you.